This conference will now be recorded.
There.
Yeah.
Go for it. You're on, Dan. It's
Very
being
good. Well, thank you all for coming out tonight, because yeah, it's hot here in Michigan. It's like 90 some degrees here.
Wow.
Yeah, Rick, just don't complain. And let's do a quick, like, just round robin kind of thing, just so we know who we're talking with tonight, where are you from and everything. I'm Dan Digman, and this is you speak for yourself.
I am Jennifer Digman.
And we both live in Michigan. I've had MS for about 21 years.
And I've had the MS for 23 years.
And just walking around. Okay, that's Rick. Lynn, I saw you, right?
Hey,
Hi.
Where are you from, Lynn?
I am from Dallas.
Nice.
She's my neighbor, and we've never met.
Yeah, we need to change that.
Like virtual meeting. Well, Lynn, how long you had MS?
I was diagnosed in 2005.
Okay.
Hi.
All right. Well, then we'll get. I'm just going across the board here. So then, Gail, you are right there.
Hi. Yes, I'm a relative newcomer to MS. I started having symptoms in 2017, and then I was diagnosed last year in the fall with primary progressive MS. And I just started Ocrevus. So I just had my first infusion, the 2 split infusions. And so, yeah, I would be very interested for any others of you, not only those that are on Ocrevus, but really I would be interested to see what your treatments have done for you, like how that has helped or maintained, or what, how does it affect you to have had these treatments? So anyway, but I'm just completing number 1 and doing well. Anyway, glad to be here.
It's good to see you again. So and then walking over then to Frank.
Hey, my name's Frank Austin. I was diagnosed 23 years ago, although I've been dealing with it for 35, 36 years. I'm in a little place called Plainville, out in the plains of Kansas, and I don't take anything. I'm past nothing will do any good for me.
Nice. Then walking over to Mary. Mary, you're Lynn's neighbor, so tell us.
Yes, I'm Lynn's neighbor, and we're and one of these days we may do one of these chats where we'll be side by side looking at y'all. But anyway, I'm 54 years old and divorced, living in Dallas, and was diagnosed with MS in 2001. Have been on 7 different meds, and all of them left me with really disastrous complications. And so I too, like Frank, I am not on any medications at this time, and it was kind of a struggle with my doctor for a while to kind of come to an agreement that that's where I needed to be. So that's where I needed to be. So anyway.
Nice. Then then Kim, yes.
Kim, I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, relapsing remitting. I'm on Ocrevus, diagnosed 2001, diagnosed 2012, symptoms started 2001.
Wow. Is that Michelle, right?
Yeah.
Oh, she can. Can you hear us, Michelle?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. I couldn't before. It sounded like a garbage disposal was running.
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard the same thing. Where are you from, Michelle?
I live in Orlando. I'm about 15 minutes door to door to Epcot. And What else? Oh, I was diagnosed with relapsing remitting, advanced relapsing remitting in 2015. I began getting symptoms when I was 16 years old, though I didn't know anything. Self-diagnosed in around 2000, I don't know, 11 or 12. Sought out a neurologist in 2015 and was at that point my leg was already dragging and my balance was way off and I was hiding it from my job that I'd only had for a year and a half. And sought out a neurologist and was diagnosed within 9 months. Well, let's see, what is April to October? So, or actually May 1st to October 16 was my diagnosed day. And yeah, started on Tysabri immediately. Was laid off from my job 10 days later, and as a company-wide layoff, not because of the disease. And then never worked again.
Wow. Wow.
So all in all, you could say, there are silver linings to all things, when you look at it, because if I hadn't worked, I was freelancing as an administrative assistant doing transcription and document formatting, and I needed to have a job to get diagnosed. A job fell into my email inbox, which I was subsequently hired for. They asked me to apply. They found me on LinkedIn, asked me to apply. I got hired. It was full company health, fully funded health, vision, dental. So I got everything done while I was there. And it's a good thing I did. I ended up losing, 5 teeth to MS. They were rotting underneath caps and all kinds of good stuff. And and now they're falling apart again because, for the last 5 years, I've been without any dental care again. But I talked to my insurance company. I have one of those Advantage plans through Medicare. And I talked to the just regular customer service agent, and she told me to go ahead and talk to, whatever surgeons and this and that I go to, and just say, do a pre-authorization for the implants and have them code it toward the medical. And she said, just send that through as a pre-authorization and you could get it approved. So if anybody is having the same problems, I suggest that. Just telling the dentist to, especially if you're having severe dental problems like I am. So
That's a good
yeah,
tip.
so that's my piece. I am bound and determined to have MS be recognized as a cause of dental decay, because the studies have shown that MS changes the bacteria in the mouth, and that's what my dentist said has caused my teeth to fail, was this unknown bacteria. So
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah,
So it's
I mean,
pretty interesting.
Michelle and you and I talked about that issue. We
For years, ever since we've known each other.
Yeah, and so actually, it would make an interesting topic, and which made me ask my own dentist, especially people with trigeminal neuralgia, and then they have root canals instead of addressing the trigeminal issues itself. I asked my dentist how much attention is recognized in their training, and his hygienist actually said, ironically, Dr. Higginbottom teaches the majority of the neurology-based classes to his dental students. So that made me feel a lot better as far as where I've been going for my dental work. But I guarantee you there's got to be a lot of dentists out there that don't, or in dental schools that maybe still don't put enough focus on that. So that's an interesting topic to keep going on.
My dentist at the time, his wife had an autoimmune disorder. He didn't disclose which one to me, but he did tell me that much. And so he was really curious because I was seeing him and looking for a neurologist and going through the initial stages of getting diagnosed at the time that I was finishing up the, full mouth reconstruction that I had to do, and having the 5 teeth removed. And well, one was a complete accident. One fell apart under the cap when the surgeon was extracting the tooth behind it, and accidentally tapped it with the handle of one of his tools, and he said it just crumbled. It just crumbled and fell out. And then he found out that when the cap was off, that the tooth was completely crumbling and rotted underneath an intact cap. And I asked him, was the cap broken in any way? And he said no, the cap was fully intact. He said he inspected it because I wanted to see it. He said I already threw it out, but but he said that it was fully intact. There was no scratches or anything in it that would have caused bacteria to get behind it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's really, really kind of interesting. And
can we just finish with the introduction?
oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
Oh,
yes, please. I went off.
No,
yes,
that's
please.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so no, because these are great conversations. Just want to get just so we know who we're talking with and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I apologize to the rest of the people waiting.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. You're good. This is great. But then, so I see, I feel like romper room and stuff, and I see Carly. Who are you?
Well, I'm Carly. I actually had to hop off and back on. Can you guys hear me okay this time?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, good. I've been having issues today with audio visual, so thanks for your patience. So Carly, relapse remitting, diagnosed 2011. I was pretty lucky and only had about 6 months of symptoms. I think I had some in high school, but similar to you guys, didn't know what it was at the time. I started with Avonex. I moved to Copaxone and been in the clinical trial for Ocrevus for 8 years now. Yeah. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So then Carly, and then I see the L. That's LuAn, right?
Yeah, LuAn, you're on mute.
I know. I've got lawn guys next door doing the yard. That's the garbage disposal sound you're hearing. And I don't know why they showed it at 7:30 at night to do the yard. It's not my yard, it's neighbor's yard. So it's annoying. What were we doing? We're talking about.
Where are you from, and how long you had MS?
Is anybody else in line yet to talk about their story? I'm waiting for these guys to move on. They should be quick.
You're up.
Oh, okay. Well, if they're annoying me, let me know and I will mute myself again.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm outside on my gorgeous patio that I've been working with since this quarantine stuff. And I was diagnosed in 2014. And the diagnosed neurologist said I had had MS for 20 years earlier and wanted to know why I wasn't at the NC. And then I said, well, were you even out of medical school at that time? He wasn't. But anyway, and then I got, again, of course, second opinion 1 year later. And it was a confirming diagnosis. So I guess I have it. I don't know. I've been on Copaxone, and I have now moved to the generic glutaminyl acetate. So that's the only medication I've been on. And it's so fun jabbing yourself 3 times a week. It's great. It's awesome. Everybody should partake in that. And especially when, I'm now on glutaminyl acetate. And of course, I had already gone through the whole rigmarole with the immediate post-injection reaction with Copaxone. And then last Wednesday, I got one with the Mylan's glutaminyl acetate. I was not happy. So I'm probably going to have a little spell with that where I'm panicking because I can't breathe and everything. So I hope it kind of goes by quickly. What else? I talked really fast.
No, you're good. No, this is really good. No, I think but welcome. So everybody here tonight, thanks for coming out as much as you can come out for an online meeting. But I was curious, we'll come back to you, Gail, just really quick then too, because you had talked, you were like with your first full dose of Ocrevus, correct?
Right.
and stuff. And so I know that Carly can talk about that just in terms of like experiences with the Ocrevus. You took it okay?
Yes. So I had a few adverse reactions with my first dose that I don't remember how long, honestly. It was longer than it was supposed to be between the first and second half doses. But after I got through, it was probably about a year, I didn't have any more symptoms. But Gail, I know we've talked a few times. You haven't had any adverse reactions as of yet, right?
No. Mm-mm.
That's great.
Yeah.
Mine came on quickly, so it was like within a few days from the first time. So I had shingles from the first dose,
Oh.
and all I was told was to watch for a rash. And trying to think, I was sitting with a woman that I was working with through youth assistance, and I'm sorry, I apologize. I was supposed to say where I was from. I'm in the greater Detroit area. So I was working with this woman, youth assistance, and I would say she was probably like mid 50s. And I showed her where I was having a rash. Like, based on what you're saying, I think all of this is shingles. You need to go to the doctor. You need to go to the hospital. But thankfully we caught it really early, and I didn't have any extra things after that. That's not true. Hang on. I had thrush. I'm trying, well, because then you're thinking, you're like, no, I went to the doctor a few more times. I had thrush. That was one of the weird ones.
Yeah.
Did you have an increase in headaches?
Not that I recall. I have like a bite guard though, because I do have TMJ. But I got that a number of years ago because I had a lot of migraines in high school, but I also had 4 impacted wisdom teeth. So that was fun. No, I don't remember having increased headaches, probably less so. My fatigue has pretty much stayed the same. And I think I shared with you guys, some of you guys that have been with us before, I got back to running, so that's been pretty nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, night and day from when I got diagnosed, went into the hospital and was using a walker, and a year later was able to take walks and then start running again. So
that is very encouraging. Wow.
Yeah. Yes, it's been a game changer for me for sure. Yeah.
So I wondered if these medications just kept you at the level that you were at, or if they actually improved things over time. And it sounds like for you, they actually did improve things, but it took a while. You said a year later?
Yeah, I would say a year later, and I wasn't having as many of the adverse reactions. So I still find that I am more prone to UTIs, and I don't know if that's just me in general or if that's part of the medication. Yeah, okay. So I actually take like cranberry chews, and if I feel like a UTI coming on, because generally by the time I get to the doctor, like it's full blown, and I'll call them and say, please just write me a script. I know exactly what it is. But it won't come up in the test occasionally. So I just do a lot of like cranberry chews. They seem to be more concentrated, and I take them daily and twice a day if I feel it coming on. That's probably the most significant like leftover thing, but maybe for a year now, where I was having one like every month. So significant improvement.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, it's kind of one of those things with all of us taking MS medication, except, well, Mary and Frank. I mean, are you happy with the treatments that you're taking? I mean, do you feel like your MS medicine is helping?
I feel like it's definitely slowing things down. I haven't been progressing. I haven't had any what I call acute flares since September of 2018 when I was on Gilenya, and that's why they switched me to Ocrevus when I went temporary blind in my left eye. But
Wow, wow.
I haven't. The only side effect I know is not so much the Ocrevus. It's just more the prednisone, where I might not sleep well that first night because sorry, methylprednisolone, going through my system. But
Mhm.
other than that, it's been pretty minimal for. I mean, when I was at the rebiff, like I had the massive. I was hot and cold, massive headaches. I was downing like naproxen and Tylenol, like was going out of style. And then with the Gilenya, that's when the UTIs hit me hardcore. This TMI, but my husband was like terrified of touching me because every time he touched me, boom, UTI, and he was like, I can't. And so I don't know if you tried D-mannose, Carly. Is that some people? I found D-mannose works really great for me. I know some people it doesn't work, but have you tried that at all? Oh my
I
God,
have,
best
yeah, no, I
supplement
found
ever.
with, really,
Yes.
yeah, I found with the cranberry juice, I don't particularly like taking a lot of medication outside of Ocrevus, if I can help it. So,
It's a supplement. It's technically not like over the counter. And it's a sugar that's not metabolized by your body. So if someone had diabetes, you don't have to worry about it raising your sugars and stuff. Your body just drains it. It just processes it through your urine. So then the E. coli is going yummy, yummy, and then they stick to it and then it flushes out versus like antibiotic that's constantly killing the good and the bad flora. This is just
yeah.
washing it out. So it's effective.
Oh,
It's good to
You
know.
know, blueberries and lemon actually do a similar thing. Blueberries, I can't remember. I did a lot of research on this when I was in the first 2 years. And blueberries and lemon and work in the bladder and the urinary tract. And then the cranberry, I think, is cranberries in the blueberry tract. It's in the urinary tract. So something like that. I'd have to look it up again to provide exact. But I know that blueberries are definitely good to just munch on.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, then, we talked about here, because again, we're meeting twice a month, so this is like, 2nd of May, because of the whole coronavirus and us in Michigan. Carly, Jennifer, me, we're locked down till June 15th.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing with their quarantine and with dealing with this isolation and virus and everything?
I'm all good. Disney Springs opened up 2 weeks ago, and you're required to have a mask on. They have space markers on the ground and all that kind of stuff. And Universal Studios, their social area they call City Walk, has movie theater and restaurants and stuff like that. That opened up, I think, a week before Disney's did. And then they're about to open up the theme parks at Universal. And then Disney hasn't given a date, but their plan is due this week. So we'll see.
Wow.
You've been?
Yeah. I
Did
haven't.
you feel?
I'm sorry?
I said, you have been?
Not to either of those. I just haven't had a reason to go. I'm just conserving money. Getting the free money from the government was pretty awesome, and it kind of needs to go toward medical bills. And I'll give myself a happy day out or something like that. But my neighbor upstairs actually is from Japan, or well, my neighbor's roommate. She brought in one of the Disney cast members who works in Japan, from Japan, who works in Epcot's Japan area. And she's been here. She was laid off, but because she's a manager, she's just furloughed, or no, yeah, with full pay. So they brought her back into Disney Springs. I was just up there last night for the other girl's birthday, and they she's been working at Disney Springs for the last 2 weeks, and she said that they should probably open up Epcot first because it's the larger of the parks, so they'll be able to put more people in, rather than, because of the reduced.
So things are getting back to normal slowly but surely. I think COVID, we've had our cases in Michigan. Fortunately, it hasn't touched Dan or I personally, but I just think, that that's always been my concern. What would happen if something like that affected us? I don't know if I'm overly concerned, but I went to the grocery store today and I took my mask. You don't know. So I
still have not been to the grocery store.
I'm sorry, what?
I still have not been to the grocery store. The last time I left my house, other than to do a walk or a run, was March 20th.
Wow.
My neurologist is continuing to have me work from home. And she said, unless it is absolutely necessary, she does not want me leaving the house.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what my nurse practitioner says on Friday. She'll be like, no, Kim, no.
Yeah.
She's like, so what have you been doing? I'm like, I don't go out much. I just do this and this. And she's probably like, no, I don't. I'll do it. I did go to the dentist today. I thought my dentist office did a really great job. They make you stay in your car. They come out to get you. They take your temperature. You go. All the rooms are already like 3/4 of a wall anyway, full walls. And then you take off your mask, and then they have their normal mask with the little shield. And they're like, we're not going to do polishing today because aerosol. I'm like, great. And then at the end, they make you leave through the back door so you don't go through the lobby. And they have hand sanitizer there at the door they want you to use. Like, please use hand sanitizer to way off. I'm like, these are my people. I feel more comfortable going to my dentist. They got it going on. But other places, like when I went to natural grocers, I was kind of scared. A lot of people weren't wearing masks. The gal that was checking me out didn't have her mask below her nose. I'm going, But when I went to Hy-Vee, everyone was doing well at Hy-Vee. So I'm still kind of sketchy on what I feel like. You can't get me to go into a Walmart. I don't feel comfortable with people, Walmart. Target, you probably can't get me to go in. But I will be at the hospital on Friday to go to my neurologist appointment. They called me like, yeah. So I was like, didn't know if they were doing telemedicine. Like, nope, get your butt here. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
LuAn, I hear you giggling.
I know, when she was talking about, all the Walmart stuff and everything. Yeah. Oklahoma is about ready to go into its phase 3 opening on June 1st. So at that point, we'll be fully open. If you hear noise, that's my air conditioner. So,
Where are you?
We've been in phase Oklahoma.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Oklahoma. So I'm right above Mary.
Yes. Above her.
Yeah. I'm
right
here,
above Mary.
Here, Lynn's here.
I know. I was thinking about those little squares, but because I'm on my phone, so I don't see the little squares. But I was thinking, like the Brady Bunch kind of vision in my head.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it's going to be open, and I've already started taking some clients back again, and because and my clients are going to start returning to work. Those that are working from home, they're going to start returning to work, mid-June. So I'll be back at work again, having to go take care of the animals and running around town. Except I don't have my car because it got wrecked by some idiot who decided not to stop at a red light. So hopefully that'll come back soon. So.
Yeah. Wow.
You could come down, LuAn, you can come down here and groom Fallon. She look, I don't know if you can, she's nothing but fur, and my groomers have been overbooked, so
I bet.
she'll be happy to see you.
I know, but I don't do grooming. I'll brush, but that's about it.
Oh well, worth a shot.
Yeah.
And it's dry, and I don't have a car, so
Oh, whoops.
yeah.
Iowa
It's
fully
now in
opens on
the
Monday
hospital.
with some restrictions
Okay.
on capacity levels. So we'll be, I
Yeah.
still don't feel comfortable with that, but
Yeah. What was the
Yeah, we took
appointment?
ours.
What was
We
the
took our.
appointment? I'm sorry.
Sorry, who are you asking?
I didn't catch what Kim's appointment was. I'm sorry.
oh, not appointment. I'm just saying Iowa is opening everything up by Monday with
Oh,
some
You're going to be
restrictions on
100%.
capacity. Yeah, we'll be at 100, like casinos, movie theater, like everything, amusement parks, everything
Oh my
goes on
gosh.
Monday. And I think some things are like 50% capacity. So no, everything, and it doesn't have to be like 10 people anymore as long as yeah. So I'm going to be hiding. Be like, no, I'll just get a couple of my things that I need and just keep my viral load down. No, I have a feeling that there's going to be some. We finally, today was like the low day where we only had like 8 deaths and like 100 some positive cases. Usually it's like in the teens or the 20s on deaths, and usually it's like 300 to 400 positive cases every day. So today we finally, I guess, decreased a little bit after how many weeks? So yeah, we haven't flattened at all. Let's open it all up anyway. No.
That's
What
just
about
so crazy.
Yeah, because we're like over 17,000 positive cases here and over 400 deaths. When we're Iowa, we're not like a big place, you know?
yeah?
I think
What
for
about you in
density,
Texas?
we're like the 15th lowest in the country for population density for area. So proud.
Yeah, what about Texas then, Mary?
Well, I'm going to pass the microphone over to our new friend, who's she's like 3 blocks down from me on the little computer square. So I'm going to give the floor over to Lynne. Well, the only thing I'm going to say first of all is, yes, just like everybody's saying, things are opening, but then I have restaurants down the street from me who were open, and then something happened and they shut everything down. They're open and then they shut everything down. So they just don't have their act together yet. And I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, which is staying here. And my mom drops off a few little things. So Lynne, tell us a story.
Okay, so my story is that I had it, and it was miserable, and it was not fun. And I took all the necessary precautions, and I still got it. So, I isolated from, God, I started isolating. I went on a cruise, and I got back on March the 1st, and I immediately started isolating. And I isolated up until maybe 3 weeks ago, but I would only do things that I absolutely had to do. And, I had good masks. I carried hand sanitizer with me, limited contact, socially distanced, all the things that they required, and I still got sick. So I was sick for, I don't know, it was almost a month.
When did the symptoms start happening? When you came back from the cruise? When did your symptoms start showing up? Because you came back from the cruise like March 1st and you started quarantining.
It was like a month ago. I just tested negative. So
Do you think that you got it from the cruise, or do you think you got it after the cruise?
It was after, because, I quarantined for 2 weeks after my cruise, and I didn't have any symptoms. And I still quarantined just because that's what my doctor told me to do. And, I was concerned about it and all that kind of stuff. So I don't see a correlation between the cruise and me getting sick.
You did
And
go to the
nobody,
doctor though, and were tested negative for regular flu and had chest X-rays. Maybe you got it there. I don't know. I just now thought about that.
I don't think so. So when I started getting sick, I had a really high fever. That was the first clue that something wasn't right. I never had the severe breathing issues, thank you God. You know, I just had this sore throat and I was achy and tired, and you know, it kind of felt like a severe flu. You know, I didn't transition into the whole breathing issue thing, thank goodness. I do know someone who was very sick, and he was on a ventilator for, I don't know, 6 or 7 days. And I'm not wondering if that's not how I was exposed. I wasn't around, it was my next door neighbor. Okay. So my next door neighbor's daughter and son-in-law and grandson, they live in New York, and they came to Dallas when everything hit the fan in New York. And I wasn't around them, but I'm just not wondering how airborne this really could be. You know what I mean? Because they were right next door. And so the wife, it was her brother that had it so bad, and he was so sick, and he's doing fine now, and he's home and everything's great. But it was really scary there for a while, and I was sick for about a month. You know, and it wasn't fun. You know, and I isolated until my test came back negative. I live with my parents who are aging, they're elderly, and so when I tested positive, they went to my sister and brother-in-law's house. My sister and brother-in-law went to my brother-in-law's brother's house. So they were isolated and I was isolated, and we didn't expose my sister and brother-in-law, if you know what I mean. So yeah, so it was a lot of kind of jumbling around trying to figure that out to make sure that nobody was exposed. I didn't want to keep my parents exposed any longer than I had to. So it was a mess. It really was.
How did it affect your MS at all, or did you continue taking MS medicine?
Well, okay, so I'm on Ocrevus.
Okay.
My
That is
infusions,
a popular drug.
well, and it's been a good drug for me so far, and it's been a couple years that I've been on it. So I had my last infusion in December. So I'm due for my next infusion on June the 8th. And of course, you know, I've consulted with my neurologist, and you know, he said there's nothing wrong with me going ahead and having it. The only thing is if I was still positive, they wouldn't want me in their infusion clinic.
Right.
I don't know that it affected my MS. I think that my symptoms may have been a little bit worse. I do have secondary progressive. So I've not really, like, I've had a steady decline for probably about a year now. And so I think that my fatigue was a lot worse than, say, someone who doesn't have an autoimmune disease. You know, it was probably a lot worse than what they would have experienced. But other than that, I don't think it really affected my MS at all. I worry about after I have my infusion, because I too have had shingles. Actually, it was last year, and I had pneumonia 1 month, and then the next month I got shingles. So I do know that it compromises my immune system, and that's what I worry about the most. So I will be isolating after my infusion for probably 8 weeks just to be safe. You know, and I will continue to take all the necessary precautions. So, you know, that's a little bit about my story, about what I've experienced. And, you know, the whole virus thing is scary, you know, particularly for people like us. I happen to be very lucky, and you know, I don't know why I didn't get as sick as some people, and I don't know why, you know, I don't know. I just am very grateful that I didn't. But it was not fun. It was exhausting, and you know, that's really it. I mean, it was, you know, that's always with me with my MS. My worst symptom is always fatigue, and so, you know, add that to COVID
I'm
that
sorry, Lynn,
causes fatigue.
can I interrupt really quick?
Uh-huh.
LuAn, would you mind muting yourself? You have a lot of very chirpy birds in the back.
Lexi likes to be outside, you know,
You're gonna-
so
you're-
anyway.
I like the birds in the background.
It's a little distracting. Thank you.
They're just a little loud.
Lynn, did you lose your sense of smell or taste at all?
I did.
Did it come back, return?
It has.
That's such a weird thing, yeah.
It is. You know, it was one of the weirdest, I think it was one of the weirdest symptoms for me. And part of that is because I do have vision issues from the MS. And so I am permanently blind in my right eye. And so, you know, I'm missing vision in one eye, and then I can't smell and I can't taste. So I've lost 3 senses, or 2.5 actually. So that was really hard, and it was really just an unusual sensation to not be able to smell or taste.
Yeah.
Wow.
My cousin thinks he got COVID when he came back from a mission trip from Liberia, and I guess his sense of taste and smell is not recovered. Like he still can't smell things.
Wow. How long ago did he
Right
have
at the beginning, he came back. Was it the beginning of March? He came back.
Wow.
time is flying by. You know, I'm counting it on my fingers how many months it's been. Can't believe that's like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Or May.
It's
Now, what's that like for you, Frank? Frank, are you back home in Kansas now?
Oh, yes. I'm back from Dallas.
Okay. Dallas, Texas is a hot spot, man.
Yeah, made the trip back last week. I didn't have any problems with it at all. I mean, we ate out almost every night for a month. Sometimes didn't have it brought in. But any problems at all.
Very cool.
You know, it's not been a real problem for me, and it doesn't bother me at all. I mean, I be careful about what I'm doing. I don't touch things I don't need to be touching when I go out in public. And I guess I'm old enough that if it's my turn, it's my turn. You know, I hate to be that way about it, but.
Well, I'm hearing other people say that too. I guess, yeah, you know, and it's not just, you know, people of a certain age or people who've been through certain situations. It's an interesting mindset, but you're still here. What were you doing in Dallas?
I was visiting my sister and brother-in-law who are down there. It's a funny story, but my sister was the senior employee. When I say senior, the longest term employee of a company here in my hometown, and they went bankrupt. And the man that owned it hoarded inventory and hoarded antiques, and they were scattered all over the United States. And he was a designer, a furniture designer. And because everything was scattered all over the United States, he just abandoned the inventory. And their trucking company that they use got together with a bank, and they went out and pulled all the inventory into Dallas, about $3 million worth of inventory. And my sister and brother-in-law have been in the process of selling it. They've sold about $2 million worth of it so far. And he couldn't do it.
That's a story. My God.
So then I guess my question for you in this, Lynn, and this kind of goes and builds on stuff. So you have had COVID-19. Obviously, there's medical things that are involved with this, but it's like, do you feel like you are immune to that now because you've been there, done that? And so then on top of that, those of us with multiple sclerosis, do you feel that now that you have MS, you're immune to any other things? It's like, this is as bad as it's going to get?
Those are actually good questions. I think with COVID, I don't really know, because there's so much miscommunication and back and forth about whether or not you can get it again. And, so I don't know. I'd like to think that I can't, but I just don't know. So who knows?
I think that's the thing that's the most troublesome in this situation compared to, like, here's cancer, and you know what cancer can do per se. Here's, the flu, or here's this thing or that thing. We still are in the question mark phase as far as the whole makeup of this thing. What is it going to do next? And so I think that question of the unknown, not necessarily, I don't want to say the fear of the unknown, but that feeling of being in limbo of, I don't like to sit there and worry, but it's a bizarre feeling, and it's a bizarre thought process, because it's there. It's like, what's it gonna do now?
But it's kind of like multiple sclerosis. I mean,
That's true.
I think just listening to you all kind of explain your stories, I know when I was first diagnosed, that every little thing, it was like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever. And then even now when we talk about our MS, no two cases are the same. So when
Yeah.
you hear about the COVID, like, thank God that Lynne's doing okay, but then you hear some people that don't make it, and it's like there's no consistency. Yeah, no rhyme or reason.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's a great example too, Jen, because when you think about, like, I think most anxious for what the fall is going to look like, because we
Yes.
are anticipating that there will be a second wave, and that's the same as having a relapse. Like, when is my next relapse going to be? How bad is it going to be?
Yeah.
Great parallel.
And right now everything is on hold, and you just wonder, when we get back to things, what am I going to be able to do? Or, like when you're first diagnosed, you don't want to push yourself too far or too hard because you don't know your limits. But this is like, every one of us has got to deal with, like, what's it going to look like? You don't want to overdo.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, imagine if all of us right here were able to come together for an in-person conference. Are we going to give each other hugs? Are we, that's serious. Are we going to hug, even family members that, aren't living with us? I mean, it's I think it's on right now. Diane Sawyer's doing a story on ABC. I think it's the new normal, in the day and age of COVID. So
I've hugged my neighbors when they came down to birthday party with me at the beginning of May, and then last night I hugged them. But I am basically quarantining always. And I go to the grocery store only when it's absolutely necessary, and I wait until there is absolutely nothing left. And long after I've run out of my 10-pound bag of M&Ms and must have more chocolate. And you know, and I stay far away from people when I am at the grocery store. I mean, even if there's somebody in a row, like I'll skip to that row and go down because I need to go down all of them. It's just my habit. So I'll just go to the next row and go all the way down it and go back around to the end of the row that they were on where I needed the thing, whatever I was buying.
Hey,
But I
Michelle.
have hugged. I have hugged.
Hey, Michelle, can I ask a question? Because I've genuinely had this conversation with some of my healthy friends, my regular healthy friends.
Yeah.
So I actually had a friend of mine. I have a back porch. And we were able to sit outside and have like a picnic together. But one of the things, like in a group, I don't know if anybody uses Marco Polo or not, but we use like Marco Polo to do little video chats with one another. We're having this conversation. So what is the difference between, happy belated birthday, by the way, because we both celebrated birthdays since the last time we've gotten together.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Birthday.
So my mom and sister and nieces came to the back door, and I talked to them through the door and had my first, you know, hopefully last quarantine birthday experience. You know, a few days later, we opened up a little bit so we could have groups of less than 10. So my girlfriend came over and we had a picnic outside, but I didn't go outside for family. And it was like mentally, I was trying to figure out like what the difference was. So like at the grocery store, you're keeping your social distance from folks, but then hugging neighbors, like what mentally is there?
It's not mental. See, my neighbors are not in contact with people either.
Gotcha.
So they're basically quarantined too, and I can trust them. I can't trust your random grocery store goer. But then I'm on Tysabri, and I have a high immune system. So I never got SARS. I never got MERS. I was directly exposed to them. I had somebody in my house who was contagious, didn't get them. So, and I haven't had the flu since 1992. And I've constantly been around people that are sick. I very rarely ever get sick. And the only thing that has ever really caused me to be sick are things like allergies. So that's not a contagious thing. And so for whatever reason, I just seem to not get them. Now, I haven't had a robust or even mild sense of taste in, I don't know, 3 or 4, well, no, longer than I have been diagnosed, which is 5 years. So my sense of taste has been gone for so long. I mean, I taste some things, but it has to be a very strong flavor for me to do so.
Like M&Ms?
Like what?
M&Ms?
Yeah. That's
Well, I think it's the crunch and the smooth feel of the chocolate. You know, it's kind of a memory thing. And I've been eating them for so long. It's my go-to chocolate. And actually, y'all saw my mask last time. Carolyn gave me a M&M mask. Remember? Yeah. So, but yes, M&Ms. No. So for me, it just didn't seem unreasonable. I wouldn't go outside and hug, you know, some of my other close friends that,
Sure.
you know, that I don't know for sure what they do, but I know my neighbors. I can see when they come and go, and I know where they go and what they do. And Disney requires Mickey to wear. Her name is Mickey. I think that's so adorable. She works at Disney. But they require her to wear a mask, and they require them to social distance, and you know, and So, and then the other girl is a teacher, so she's been quarantined at home, stuck at home, and she requires that anybody that comes to her house must be quarantined for a full 21 days before they can come over to her house, and she's only
Yeah.
allowed one person to do that. So,
You all raise great. I mean, these are things that I don't even really think about because we have close friends of ours, like, you know, former coworker and couple of family that we go to church with. They came over with like care packages, hung it on the door, and then they stood like middle of the yard and we talked at that distance. You know, these are people. Last week on like Friday night, Jennifer and I are sitting out back drinking beer, right? Well, then our
right?
neighbor next door, you know, that we, you know, you're friendly
As
with
you
your
do.
neighbors, not BFFs or anything, but he's out burning like trees or whatever. Oh, apparently they had a kid. You know, that's how bad of neighbors we are. His wife comes out and they have
Apparently.
a baby, brings the baby over, and we're there in close proximity. And I go in, oh, Mike, you want a beer? I'll go get you one. So I go in, and you give him stuff, and you know, we didn't quarantine. We're not quarantined. They're bringing their 5-month-old or 5-week-old kid over, and you're just, but we didn't think anything of it because it's just like, I don't know, because they're quarantined, we're quarantined, and that's just,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, the way I look at it is I've been quarantined for so long and I live alone. I have very little to zero contact with people between each of my quarantines, which are, 3 weeks long, between. I go to my neurologist and then I go run errands up in that same side of town, and then I'm home for, another month. I get Tysabri, so it's a month between appointments. And then, maybe that random trip to the grocery store. I did, funny enough, a woman behind me in line was giving me the big side eye because I didn't have a mask on. It's not required to wear them in the grocery stores. The tellers don't have them. And, I'm not getting it and I'm not giving it to anybody. I know that much. It was just a fluke that I had forgotten. I have a face shield. I just can't tolerate the mask. So I wear the face shield. Yeah, it's much too hot and it fogs my glasses up and I can't see, quickly to get through there. I try to go through and just grab and get it done because the grocery store closes at 8 and I go in at the very last minute. Like I show up between 7:20 and 7:30. I only have 30 minutes to get in there and get out. So, I mean, that's, so I limit my time at the grocery store even still,
I think it's interesting how this COVID has made us much more efficient when we go to the grocery store. There's no putzing around. You're in there and out. But then
I left a
also,
lot there that was on my list.
yeah, but in the last 3 months, I just realized all the non-essential stuff that you do that fills up your life. And now it's like, no wonder I'm not so stressed out because I'm not dealing with all the non-essential stuff. I don't know if anybody else feels like that.
No, I know exactly what you're saying, Jen. No.
Yeah. Raised our hands.
Can I, do you mind? I'd love to have everybody's opinion on this, just briefly.
You've come to the right place, Mary. Bring it.
We have some opinions here.
We've got the opinions.
Thank you, kind people. I appreciate it. Okay. For years, I've had a housekeeper that comes to my house. She's a godsend. I mean, laundry, everything. She's wonderful. Twice a month. The last time she was at my house was, I guess, right before everything started shutting down. So what's that, the end of March or whatever?
Yeah.
Mom and she does mom's house too. Okay, my house is like this big and mom's house is like this big where there's a lot of separation. It's been hard for me for the past couple months keeping up on my house cleaning, and I mean, very hard, and it's been pretty, I'll just be honest, it's been filthy for the most part. And so long story short, my mom tells me today that Carmen is expected to come to my house tomorrow. So at first I went, oh, I don't think it's time. I don't think it's time. I don't think it's time. But then I thought, well, things are starting to slowly change. I don't know. We don't, the only thing that's good is I got all my laundry done and finished, and dishes done and finished. So she'll just be focusing like on the grunge work that I can't do. I have one bathroom and it's teeny tiny. So, but what are your thoughts? I'm not
Have her
really,
come.
thank you. Okay. Well, I'm not
You
really
need
nervous
to have
about
her
it.
come.
I think it's,
Somewhere,
huh?
do you have somewhere where you can escape while she's cleaning? Like even just drive around or go for a walk during that time or something, so maybe
Sit
you
in the
would feel more
backyard, Mary.
comfortable?
Sit in the backyard or on your patio.
We can distance ourselves pretty well. Like a good example, like is, and she's not going to be here very long. I think from maybe from 2 to 6. Okay, so when she comes, we've had this routine forever. I can stay in my bedroom while she focuses on the front end of the house. Okay, and I can do my computer. I can do whatever. Then when she's ready to come back here, she can we should call me from the kitchen on our cell phone. Maria, necesito limpia su baño, and so that she, so then we can, in other words, we can communicate when it's time for me to pick up, and we shift locations.
She could just knock on your door because your bed is 6 feet away from your door, so
Yeah,
she could just show up into the doorway.
Yeah, she can, and then go back in the kitchen while I gather my stuff and change rooms.
Yeah.
I think because my house needs cleaning. I mean, with the dust and my we've had nothing but rain, and my bed has muddy paws. So my health is not just keeping a distance from a housekeeper. It's
Well,
keeping
Mary, you need to quit going out and walking in the mud and the dirt and coming and laying in your bed.
but it's fun to get muddy. It's fun.
I had to lighten this because I can tell you're stressed out about it, but I honestly, the way
I'm
I
not.
feel about it is you should have her come. There's an easy way to social distance. She's going to have on the cleaning gloves anyway, so it's not like, any
Yeah.
of that. And you could always ask her to wear a mask, but I mean, as long as you stay 6 feet away from her, there's there's
I
I mean, as
yeah.
far as person to person contact. And I was watching, stuff on TV today, and they're saying that there's less air to air transmission. It's more direct person contact. For,
Yeah.
maybe that's not every case like in Lynn's, but,
Well,
but,
so Mary, what is it? Like my therapist always tells me, name it and tame it. So what is it that you're most nervous about? And then how are you going to address it?
Well, that's a very good way of asking that, and because I have definitely been in therapy mode for a while, and need to focus on that. I suppose it's because of that's a good question. I suppose it's because, of course, you can only see just little tidbits of the size of my house, and because, and she has a lot of clients that, so she's in contact with a lot of people. She's got family, and she does that, but she's been going to my mom's house all the time. My mom has her handyman come over all the time. My mom's social distancing has been um, kind of shabby. I'll just put it that way for a woman of 79. She's like,
Yeah.
I feel like a steak. I'm just going to go, and and it's like, Mom, just deliver it. Anyway, so I think it's just because I'm 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 not. I'm not really nervous about it because I know I need her, and I know I will feel better with a clean casa. But I don't know. I think it's just an odd feeling because this is still going on out there. I mean, we just had Lynne, and she's tired and had to go, but I purposely invited her because it was totally ironic that she and I just that I messaged her when she tested positive out of the blue. I was the only one that she told. And so you all are the only ones that know her story. And that was really important for me to protect her, her privacy and her comfort level. But this was a big deal for her. And she messaged me and she was so glad to be a part of this and wants to continue.
It was very nice of her to feel comfortable to share with us. And, it's like we all are here sharing our stories and, we're with our people, and that's like when we're in this community. So that's really nice that Lynne shared with us.
I was so proud of her. She was very nervous, it was just because of the whole video, the face to face, and she's, feels like she looks like crap. And I said, honey, a lot of us are going to be in bed. I said, I'll be in my pajamas. I said, after you do the first video thing, it's like a piece of cake. And so she's like, okay. So I'm just really proud of her. And but see, she lives 20 miles away, and she just now. There's still a lot of people that I don't know what, honestly, here I was being all calm with Frank earlier saying, oh well, if that's just the way the situation is and maybe time to move on. But then when it comes face to face with you, it's like, oh, am I comfortable with this or not? I think it's more comfort. I'm not really nervous. Plus just a quick little thing with me, and you probably already can figure it out. Michelle knows this very well. I like my cave. This is my cave. It's not always a healthy thing. I am very social. I do get out, and I love my friends but I love my cave. And my cave is small. When someone's here, I don't feel like I can be myself. That's a whole other conversation compared to COVID, though, I think. So that's therapy for another day.
But Mary, yeah, if you were more concerned about the whole breathing aspect, you could just ask her to wear a mask.
I think I'll do that when she's doing my bathroom, just because it hasn't. I mean, I know I sound like I'm
6 feet in any direction.
No, it's one toilet, and then here's the sink, and here's the tub, and plus I fell. I got lucky. I fell in my bathroom last week. Luckily nothing got a few bruises, but so that's another reminder of because back in 2010. I fell in my bathroom and I busted my elbow, and the bursa fluid, I contracted MRSA. Your bathroom floor is filthy, especially with animals and your own germs. It's filthy. And so I'm kind of talking myself through, yes, it's okay for Carmen to be here. I've saved some money. It's been nice saving some money the past couple months, but I've been paying the price with a filthy house. So it's time to move on.
This is something, I mean, Mary, and I totally understand why you did it, but I find the irony that you have somebody to clean your house, but you made sure you did your laundry and dishes before they got there. I would do the same thing.
Well,
everybody does that. You always have to clean up before the housekeeping comes over. You're like,
my sister used to mop the floor.
Here's the thing,
my sister used to mop the floor before the maid came.
Oh, well, I didn't see when I did that. I didn't know that she was coming back to work tomorrow. All I knew was that I had been spinning my wheels and my energy on like projects, sitting in bed on my computer and thinking I was being productive. When it's like, here's a pile of dust bunnies, and here's a month's worth of laundry, and instead of doing a load to where I can grab a pair of clean underwear, I'm in my head, I'm like, oh, I'll just grab a pair of Depends in the bathroom. If I'm being honest, it's like I became very stuck in my situation. And so therefore, the one lesson learned on, so therefore, yes, Dan, that's what made me think I'm not writing anything. That's why. Thank you, Dan is taking over my hiatus with the MS Foundation articles. Thank you so much, sir, for doing that, because I've been focusing all my energies on stuff, but not me. You know what I mean? And so I just was like, screw it. I've got to do my laundry. I did my dishes, and so I had to.
Oh, I totally get it. I mean, I would do the same thing. So I guess this is, and I probably bring this up every meeting that we have. I mean, but you think about this, we spend how much of this time talking about COVID-19, and it's just like all of a sudden, does MS not seem like such a big deal? With all due respect.
I don't, yeah, it doesn't, I'm kind of numb. I mean, I'm
numb to COVID.
Me too, I have MS. No, kidding.
I'm in a weird place. I'm just being honest.
MS is the old normal.
Yeah, the old.
Right. Yes. Right, Frank. It because you know we're here for MS group and everything, but it's just like this the realities of COVID-19 just just command our attention, and it's just like meanwhile, it's like you're doing your Ocrevus infusion, in first time, and then you're doing more treatments and stuff, but it's not so much the Ocrevus infusion so much as will it be safe at the hospital because of the COVID that I can do my infusion. Whereas before we were like freaked out with said infusions, but now it's just like there's this added element. So that makes us that much stronger as people. So go team.
Exactly. And think about, I mean, everything, our normal into our new normal happened in, I mean, it's been a few months, but it happened in a heartbeat. And that's kind of, that's difficult on the system and on the psyche, just to process. I mean, and I think I realized, I didn't realize how much it actually did affect me. I'm not nervous about getting sick. Or going to the store for something. I just have a weird, I'm just weird. I'm in a weird zone, man.
No, I think we all are.
Everybody's there with you, Mary.
I'm noticing that. Yeah.
And even with, the friends that I speak with around here, I mean, I'm starting to feel, today's high was 81 and it was very humid. So my neuropathy is like from my elbows to my fingertips and from like my mid calf to my toes. So I feel it like today, but a few days ago when it wasn't as bad, just another thing.
It was only 83 here in Florida. So who was it? Dan and Jennifer, was your temperature in the 90s? Is that what you said? And or whomever's that was. And yeah, so I was just, when you said that, I thought, wow, Florida was actually cooler than y'all.
When my caregiver grabbed her phone this afternoon because she was talking about being warm and it said 90 degrees. And we're, 2 hours north of Carly, so I don't know what that was, but it was 90 degrees this afternoon.
That's crazy for Michigan. Oh my gosh.
What's it like down there in Oklahoma?
I have to unmute myself. It is 73 degrees outside right now.
It's been nice.
Yeah, it's been like that in the 70s. It was in the 60s this morning when I went walking. I mean, it's really nice, and my neighbor's dog is really loud. So I've been enjoying it. It's rained all day, and then it finally stopped and got sunny. And
it's
and
been
now
raining
it's like a nice,
as well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, a nice 73 degrees. I can deal with that.
And
that's why I thought I'll just sit outside. Well, I didn't expect lawn mowing company and dogs to bark and birds chirping. I guess I won't do that again.
Well, they enjoyed the weather as well.
Yeah.
And not that it's a contest, but Rick wanted to point out that it's 96 in Arizona or this afternoon, and currently it's 92. So,
Ew.
yeah.
That's almost cool for Arizona.
Yeah,
And then,
but he
of course,
gets the
there's
dry heat, so he doesn't
I
get the humidity.
I know.
You stole my words. I was about to say there's always somebody that says, "Oh, but it's a dry heat."
There's
I
a
mean,
huge difference between humidity.
It
I could
does.
take dry heat any day.
I
It's the
mean,
humidity that zaps me.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I can't ask me to add 2 + 2 when it's the humidity, and I'm like, bleh. I mean, it's everything just goes to mush. It's anyway.
But
Yeah.
I would
Bizarre.
say that like me and Jennifer and Carly and Frank and Kim, I mean, we would take the 96 degrees over the snow, or at least I would.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I prefer the.
I want some snow. We need a good freeze. It's been a few years since we had a good freeze in Texas because we need to kill the mosquitoes. You know, it needs to be long enough for the mosquitoes. And do y'all get? I have to ask. After it rains, do y'all get? I don't know if it's a local thing. In fact, I bet LuAn knows what I'm talking about. They're not
Okay.
an actual roach, but they are like 2 inches long. They look like a roach, and they kind of crawl. Oh
That's a
Are they
roach,
brown?
Mary.
Are they
yeah,
brown?
yeah.
Are they
That's a
brown?
roach. It's called a palmetto bug.
The palmetto. Thank you.
It
Okay.
is. It's a breed
You
of
sure?
roach.
It's a
They live in the palmetto palms.
Are they in your house?
Well, no. Every time it rains,
Okay.
there's I find a little visitor, and it freaks me out. And
That is outside.
I'm okay if because they can flatten themselves out really good and come in through the slightest little thin place, and there they go. And the thing is, my mom told me this freaked me out. Their eyes are on top of their head, and because I'm like
Their heads move.
well,
Their heads
yes,
are opposable. It's
they
completely
see you
different than a
coming.
regular roach.
So you literally chase after them, and it's the most bizarre thing. So I'm okay if they come in down towards my kitchen and my back door because it's the floors. I grab a magazine and wham, throw it on the ground, and I can pick it up and throw it away. If I'm getting settled in for bed and I see this little shadow of a dark thing coming in my bedroom, Michelle knows this story. I was all ready to go to sleep. This is last month, and I was finally settled in, and there he was sitting there, and I threw a book down, but it didn't kill him, and he ran away. I can't ever
Yeah,
since I
because
was
he
a
went
kid.
flat.
Yeah, ever since I was a kid, in my mom's old house, they used to, again with condensation, they like the water. They'd come in out of the air conditioning vent.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not be able to sleep until I had smashed those little buggers. So anyway,
Well, I know I
nobody
have a
has
problem at my
those?
house on occasion with, I always call them water bugs,
Me
and I
too.
have to get the exterminator out. But then at the
Oh,
same time, I will notice too that I also have a problem with German cockroaches. So it's like a double whammy. So
well,
I've got
luckily,
2 different roach-like things going on in my house, and I have to get them to kill them out, and we're done.
well,
So
luckily, it's like only one at a time. So after it rains, of course, I love it because I've got a big backyard and I don't have to water it. But it's like, oh, don't come in here, don't come in here. And but so when I did go to the store the other day, I bought myself 2 big cans of Raid so I could zap it. And all it does is paralyze the thing, and then he runs off again. I mean, those things, they're like dinosaur bugs. I'm sorry, I'm a little hysterical tonight. So
Yeah. So now that because it's getting close to the end and everything, I mean, is there anything that y'all wanted to talk about tonight that we didn't get to? You're just thinking, I can't wait because group is tonight and I want to ask about this. I guess, Gail, did we answer your question about Ocrevus?
About all the different.
It's helpful to hear Carly's story. I guess my I wanted to have realistic expectations about what might happen after we've had, or after I've had the infusions. And my expectations were this really won't change anything, which is fine. If it can just kind of level out and not get worse, that would be a blessing to me. So I really didn't expect, I don't expect it to get better. So if it can just stay where it is, that'd be wonderful. That'd be fantastic. So anyway, I don't know. I just was curious about y'all's yeah, I mean, I'm also kind of curious about everybody's personal symptoms, like how does MS look, what does it look like for you? For me, I have numbness in my legs, and walking is much more of a difficulty, and I walk with a hiking stick now most places. And this MS hug that I was talking about one week, I mean, those are kind of my symptoms, but what I hear from a lot of you is that it's just very different for everyone.
Yep.
Carly, you kind of mentioned some neuropathy in your arm, and I don't know, I'm curious to find out how MS, what does it look like for you guys? What do y'all deal with on a daily basis? Maybe it's too late in the evening to kind of get started there, but
We'll
I
start a pot of coffee. We got the night. For me, my hands are always numb, and my chest gets numb, and my feet are always numb. But that's, when I get tired or stressed, that all amplifies. So that's what it is for me.
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Similar. I have the neuropathy. It's actually on both sides pretty consistently, like my half of my middle finger, ring finger, and pinky, both sides. But when it gets hot, like the humidity that we have right now, I get that. And for some reason, it's when the weather changes, so like spring and fall, I get a lot more. I've had a few back spasms this week and 2 migraines. So I don't, for whatever that's worth.
It's
And
Interesting.
It's a bizarre journey, Gail, because I was diagnosed 20 years ago and thought that I kind of had the way MS affected me all figured out, and then all of us, then as we get older, and things in our body get older. There's sclerosis means scars, so whatever you've got going on, it does, you may not be worsening with your MS, but that is scar damage, which can maybe cause different issues. But anyway, it's weird because I would say maybe I'm 54, so maybe when I got closer towards 50, all these new, I mean, the MS hug became almost a daily thing. The trigeminal neuralgia always starts over here and settles in like down kind of like in my throat. So I kept thinking I was getting sinus infections or ear infections. So all these new symptoms. And so the thing is, and just like we were saying, everybody's journey is so different with it, and everybody's progression with it is so different. It's just bizarre, and I've gotten kind of used to waiting for the next new thing, whatever that's going to be. I don't know, but it changes. Yeah.
Kim, I was wondering, when Gail was asking about, so have you seen your MRIs since you've been on Ocrevus?
Yeah, I get them every year. Nothing's changed.
Well, I get one every year, but it's part of the study, so like I can look at it with the tech, but I don't actually like get a copy of it. But I've noticed like that the bright white lesions are not as bright. Like I've literally lost some. I've gained function back, and I'm just wondering what your experience was. If you've been in it long enough that you've seen like improvements.
No, there has been no change in my MRIs. But I didn't have a large lesion load to begin with. I didn't light up like a Christmas tree. So,
Gotcha.
but to swing around back to Gail's question, my biggest symptoms are fatigue and cognition. So I was able to work for 5 years after diagnosed, but after that, I could no longer work because of the fatigue and cognition issues.
Yeah.
Those are my biggest issues. When I was at Mayo Clinic in August last year, he was still like, you have MS, but it may be something different, but I'm not gonna be hung up on what you have. You definitely have some, what did it say? Dirty matter was his words he used.
Dirty girl.
Yeah, you have a dirty white matter, and that's why he had me do the 7 Tesla MRI, because he wanted to see if there
Right.
have changes and to get really, and it's like, no,
Oh,
no,
for
you
the
haven't.
for the atrophy, yeah. I had my first yeah, and here's I don't remember what year this is, but my brain. I don't know if y'all can see that, but
Hmm.
those are my black holes. But it's interesting. My brain, and for a little bit there, doctors, my doctors considered, well, because of the way your lesions are behaving with your brain compared to your cervical and thoracic, etc. Maybe I didn't have MS, and maybe it was neuromyelitis optica, and which was that was like
Get out of here.
18 years into my original diagnosis. But now, the consensus looks like it's probably secondary progressive. But my brain had activity in the very, very beginning days, and then it just kind of stayed the way it is there, that with that picture that I just showed you. And but boy, those little black holes, they they mess up your cognition big time. And then the funky thing that I've noticed is there's like a disconnect of brain and body when you're so exhausted and you're really supposed to rest and go to sleep. Your body's exhausted, but your brain doesn't always know when to shut off, or your brain doesn't recognize those signals. At least that's what happens with me, and that's why writing is so laborious of a thing for me, because it takes every ounce of juice out of my brain, but I don't recognize that cutoff point. It's kind of like I've run the red light and I'm going to crash into the tree, and I do crash into the tree, and I'll do it again. So it's
The only lesion change I had, Carly, was the original lesion I had in 2001 that they said you don't have MS because you don't have three or more lesions. And then 10 years later, when I came back to complain, they said that lesion was healed. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
That I've had in
Y'all are
MS.
talking about a lot of brain lesions. For me, I had a lot of spinal lesions. I have brain lesions, but my lesion load is located in my spine, which is more indicative of secondary progressive or any of the progressive forms. And my symptoms, Gail, are my leg, my left leg. I'm left affected, so my left leg drags a lot, and I work hard to get my original gait back, which was more of a glide. It was more smooth. I could just woo, like a dress skirting the dance floor or whatever. That's the way I used to think of the way I walked. Now it's more like Quasimodo or something, and my left leg will drag. And the more that I walk, the worse it gets. My endurance has shrunk over the last year. I haven't had what I would assume is a relapse since I was in my 20s. So, like I said, having had relapsable pain that I could recognize in starting when I was like 16 years old, and then not getting diagnosed until I was 45. So there was a lot of damage in there. And like Carly, or no, I'm sorry, like who was it? The fatigue for me is a major issue. And then like Mary, my cognition is getting worse all the time. When I eat, it makes me narcoleptic. So everything I can't eat if I know I have something to do within the next hour and a half. So even if it's like, I know that everybody's like brows are furrowing. My doctors don't know what to think of it either. It doesn't matter if it's a big chunk of lettuce or if it's, a bag of M&Ms. It's not a sugar issue. It happens with lettuce. Like I said, I can have lettuce with no dressing and have it still happen to me, even if I don't fill my stomach up. So we don't know what that is, but there's obviously something going on. And then on top of all those things happening, I have urinary retention, which is really bad. I just saw a urologist, and she said that when she used the catheter on me, I was retaining 500 milliliters of fluid, and that's after I went to the bathroom on my own. Yeah, I know, white eyes. My abdomen is constantly distended. So I'm in the process of trying Flomax Tamsulosin, and June 10th is my next appointment. We'll assess how well or not that's working, and then the next step is I'm still waiting on the hospital to call and schedule a CT to check my kidneys. When I was 2, I had strep that went into my kidneys and shut both of them down. And so, she's concerned about my kidney systems working properly as well. And then the next step is she's going to have me self-cath probably for a little while until we can get the surgery scheduled to have an interstim device installed. So I will, I'll be able to go to the bathroom using my phone.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
She wants to just jump straight to the interstim device. She doesn't want to have me cath for a long time. She just wants to use it as an interim device to keep me relieved. And I think honestly, I think that's where I'm headed, because I don't the tamsulosin seems to only work well for the first 2 to 3 hours, no more than 4 after I've taken the dose, and it's in a 1 pill extended release. So I don't know if it's maybe the dose isn't strong enough, or if it's just not going to work for me. So we'll see. So I could be having surgery, and she wants to have this done. Like, she jumped into it really quick, like within the next 6 months. So, yeah, like, could be really fast. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
But think how amazing it could potentially be if you
I
have
know, I'm
surgery
so excited.
and it helps you, and you could be one of those people like, why did it take so long to do the surgery?
I know. And because it would be medically necessary for me, it could be scheduled immediately. So we'll see. I mean, I'm still waiting on the CT to be scheduled. So I think I'm going to call them up now that we're open and surgeries are allowed to be performed. They can get me in for that CT and have those kidneys checked, and as long as, especially, I don't know, if she'll probably schedule it for urgent surgery if she sees any damage within those systems. But if she doesn't, then it'll just be listed probably as a medically necessary. But she said she likes to just jump in and have these things installed. And I'm like, oh my God.
Are you more prone to have UTIs because you have so much urinary retention?
Actually, first of all, I don't have any feeling. So even if I had a UTI, I wouldn't know it, except there's a couple of tricks that I have learned, because I had one that persisted for the first year prior to my diagnosis, and it made my symptoms so bad I couldn't walk, but maybe my gait was down to maybe an inch. I was shuffling along like a 118-year-old woman, that couldn't even stand upright. And that was because it was both legs for me at the time. My right leg had been carrying the left leg load for so long that it was just not happening. But no, I learned that smell, that is one thing I can smell. So that's a big indicator. I know that sounds disgusting, but smell your urine. You can usually smell it as it comes from the toilet before. Always, always, always put the toilet seat lid down before you flush. I was not doing that in my younger years, and up until I learned that flushing the toilet makes all of that bacteria go all over the place, and if you're still sitting on the toilet when you do that, you're getting it all over you. So that was something that I learned. And so that was a major change in my lifestyle that I did, was get up, put the seat down, clean, get dressed, and then flush. So the flushing is the very last part of that process for me now.
Sometimes, does your body sometimes not know that it's not finished? Because mine.
Absolutely.
I hate that. I hate that.
I think we're all shaking our head yes.
Yeah, my husband's like, didn't you just go? I'm like, yes, and I have to go again.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm sorry, Carly, go ahead.
I had a doctor tell me, because retention was part of the reason why I was having so many UTIs. She said to punch essentially your bladder while you're sitting on the toilet. And that was huge. So even if I feel like I'm done at this point, I still do that.
Yeah.
I have two different methods of doing that, Carly. Sometimes I'll lay my forearm across the top of my, I can rest it on my bladder. It's usually so distended. And that will sometimes be enough when I bend forward while I'm sitting. Other times I've got to squeeze more out of there. I always know there's more to squeeze out, even if I'm not going to get a lot of it. Obviously, you can tell, because I do this every time I use the bathroom, and I still had 500 liters, milliliters. But I will put both of my elbows, right at the top of my hip, right at the soft part above your hip, that area. And I'll bend forward, and that will squeeze both sides of my big, huge bladder. And I press down. If I have it across my forearm, I will press down when I bend forward.
So what she recommended was a little bit different, though. It's essentially while you're on the toilet, I'm not going to stand up because I'm wearing pajama bottoms and they're very short. So but punch your bladder while you're on the toilet. It sounds like you're doing more from the side, and I imagine you're holding a lot more than I am.
I do both.
Okay.
It just depends on whichever way seems to work, but go ahead and tell me her method.
Well, I mean, it's just to punch and draw out that way.
It's right, yeah. And if you've had a hysterectomy, then it's like my bladder is much lower now. It's when they check me, it's as low. Well, guys, what? How does this? I mean, do you all?
How does it affect you?
Yeah.
For the men.
Because my bladder is now much lower, and so it's a little bit it's more of a challenge. But
I'm listening, and for what you all are saying, I hope not to, but it's just helping Jennifer. This gives me insight into how I can help.
Yeah.
But for me as a man, I mean, we're being candid and everything. It's just like I don't. My problem is just like, yeah, I don't empty, but it's just like I think I'm done, and
Yeah.
then you think you're done, and then you're. I mean, I don't want to. Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but you think you're done, and then just it just
You're not.
you're not, and so you
I
really need to wait and make sure that you truly are done, if that makes sense.
It does, because that actually happened to me right before, while I was still working before diagnosis. I was getting ready to go into a meeting. I had already gone to the bathroom once. This was when I had a UTI but wasn't aware of it. I did realize there was a smell, but at the time had no idea that that was one of the major clues. Hello, this is I've learned a lot since the days of pre-diagnosis. I went to the bathroom, barely a trickle, sat there for as long as I could, didn't want to keep the guys waiting. Um, Thought that I was done, really honestly thought that I was done. Stood up, washed my hands, go back into the office, and sat down in my chair. And within a minute or two, I was like completely, I had to go to Target and buy new underwear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the most humiliating experience of my life, and like I said, the urine had an odor to it, so I ended up I had to go into that meeting, but I was like staying away. It was just the two guys that I was in the office with, two of them, but you know, nevertheless, it was still something. And they knew I was going in, everybody in my office knew I was being tested for MS. So that wasn't a question, but so they could have just said, oh, whatever.
I think these conversations, even when they're of an intimate issue, I think they're so important to get people involved, because I think too many people don't talk about it, and especially people don't talk about it when they're amongst mixed company like we are now. And I'm sorry, I think we should, because then if someone's wife, who doesn't have MS, they can go and say, oh, all these women were talking about this, or all these other men go through the same thing. It's such validation and reassurance that you're not alone. It's more opening up more conversation, and who knows, I'm an open book, and of course I've been celibate for 10 years, so I can talk about anything without it being personal to me anymore. So anyway.
Yeah, right.
But I
Right.
think when we all talk about this, it's just the reminder that we need every once in a while that none of us did this to ourselves, that the disease is doing to us. Like, as
Right.
much as it's annoying to have to go to the bathroom every hour, or, as much as I wish I could feed myself at 7 o'clock at night consistently, it's not something I hope, I'm doing as much as I can, but I do have a progressive disease. And so I think sometimes I have to remind myself of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And I think that's, and sometimes I use humor as a defense mechanism. When I started having the bladder issues, and now I mean, especially when the weather's really hot, that's one of the main reasons I need my disabled placard for my car. If I have to walk just like one step too far, I've peed my pants completely. Now I just let it go. I can be at the checkout counter, and my, it's flowing through my shoes. I was talking to my neighbor a few weeks ago, and it's like, instead of freaking out, I just let it go, and it's like, okay, see you later, bye. And I'm not
Right.
saying everybody can do that, but um, I just do.
So you're not on anything? Are you not taking any
No,
medication for it?
I tried Flomax and it didn't seem to do anything. Now my bladder elimination does seem to be doing something better. In other words, when I go, it's because it used to be for the longest time, I'd have this urgency and I'd run in there and it'd be like a little, like, like this much, the tip of a pencil. And then it's worse in the morning. Then I go back to bed and then 2 seconds later, gotta go. That seems to be better now. And when I go, I'm getting a full stream. I'm drinking lots of water though, and I think that helps. I can't believe I haven't had any UTIs because I also have the bowel issue. And unless I might be without experiencing the pain or urgency, or maybe I'm just not getting them. I don't know. Last exams that I've had, I haven't had them, which is bizarre. So
I elected to take medication, so I'm on trospium for it. And I mean, I can take the trospium and I'll do it for like 2-3 months, and then I can stop it and I'm fine. And then I can start it again. So I can just do it that way, and it works. And the urologist is just fine with that. She's like, if it works for you, great.
Really? Can you slowly say the name of it again?
Trospium. I'll type it in the board.
Oh, thank you.
Great idea.
Yeah. The Flomax just really didn't seem to do anything for me. But
if I could, it's really small. Let's see if we can send that.
I really hate it.
Okay.
Conversation.
I don't want to be the buzzkill or anything, but I got to get up and go to work in the morning. Carly's got to get up, but let's just mark it on your calendar. We'll resume this conversation on this. I'm looking at June 9th, bladder.
On the 9th?
Okay.
I need to remember to put the second week on the calendar. Frank, did you want to weigh in on the bladder real quick, or?
Real quick. We've been on this for 2 hours. Well, I need to take a bladder break. So.
Well, everybody, thanks again for coming out and stuff. But mark your calendar for it'll be 8:30 Eastern time on Tuesday, June 9th. Will be our next meeting. We will resume with bladder issues and you. What more can you do to control your emotions? But no, we'll send out announcements and everything.
That's the night before I see my urologist, so I won't have any more.
It should be, the theme should be embarrassing topics. Like, let's just, like embarrassing bladder, it can be sex, it can be everything everyone's freaked out about talking. Bring it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we could call it the T8 day. T8 is the vertebral the vertebral section that deals with bowel and bladder. You can call it the T8 day.
Yeah.
I have a massive T8 lesion, and then so we'll
Very well. Pick it up then. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the rest of your 2 weeks till we see you next time. Okay?
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
This was really nice.
Bye, everyone. Nice to meet the other people, the new peoples. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, and thank you, Rick. Thanks everybody for all the hard work.
Thank you, Mary. All right, take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Bye.